Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video we shall be looking at PhpMyadmin graphical user interface fully explained. So any questions you have about XAMPP or MySQL database will be covered in this tutorial. I'm assuming you already installed XAMPP, or if you haven't installed XAMPP, just go on to their website and make sure you install XAMPP. It's free source and open source, and you can be able to use it. XAMPP is commonly used for localhost or making local web applications that have MySQL database plus Apache as a server. So if you're looking forward to using it, this will be a great tutorial for you. So I'll just open XAMPP control panel and I make sure Apache and MySQL are started. After installing it, this won't be started and they'll just be like this. So you need to start Apache and MySQL, because this is this database server and this is the virtual server we're using. So I'll start this and I'll also start this. Then I'll minimize to make sure those two are fully up and running. I'll open any browser. If you're using any browser, for now I'm using Google Chrome. So you can use, Chrome is the most used, but you can even use Edge, Microsoft Edge. It will bring the same result. So I'll just come right here and type in the URL of the server. You can simply type in localhost or localhost/phpMyadmin. So I'll just type localhost and it will bring me the index page of XAMPP. You have successfully installed XAMPP on this system. You can start using Apache, MariaDB, PHP and the other components. Find more out on facts. So this is the index page. So you can see on the navbar Apache friends, FAQs, how-to guides, PHP info, PhpMyadmin. You can even get the guide here, how to configure and how to run any PHP file. But I'll just go to PhpMyadmin because I need to use these databases. When I go to PhpMyadmin, it will open up this page. So this is the home page of PhpMyadmin. You can see here that localhost PhpMyadmin. So this is what the graphical user interface of PhpMyadmin homepage looks like. So on the left panel, you can see there is a home icon. You can see every other icon, empty session, documentation, settings, refreshing, everything is here. You can see that on this side I have a pair or a couple of databases here. Every time you create a new database, it will just appear here. All these are my database I can use, and I can be able to create any database. These are below. This says general settings, server connection. Mostly this one is the default used. Unicode, appearance settings. You can set the appearance, the language to any. So you can see that the system handles a lot of languages. I can switch this to French. So all this will switch to French. You can see that server, connection au serveur. This is French. Well, I'm not a French person, so I don't do French, but I can speak it though, you know. I use English, so I just put to English. You can see everything is switched back. Server 127.0.0.1. That is the default server, or the default server for this PhpMyadmin. So you can switch to databases. You can straight write SQL code. If at all you just want to write SQL statements, statements like CRUD, create, read, delete anything. You can see the status, user accounts, export. When you want to export an SQL file from any source you got, you can export it here. Import, the same. Can change the settings, replication. You can do more with this. So basically I'm just passing you through the basic graphical user interface of this. So if I go to databases, you can see that I have all these are my databases. I can select all and do like something like drop, or I can even expand a database. But first, let's create a database. We see how you can do it. So to create a database, you can either use a code, or you can write SQL code, or you can use the graphical way. But let me use the SQL way, and I'll also use the graphical way. So I'll write code, create database, then you give the database name. I'll say NestWave. By the way, guys, thank you for watching this video, but please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel for more tutorials like this and simplifying things. I'll be so glad when you like this video and give me more of thumbs up. I make other things, so please consider doing that for me as a favor. So create a database, NestWave. I can create a database with only this command. So I'll go and say go, and you see that MySQL returned an empty set. It means this has been created. So if I go to this, if I go right here, it means I will have more databases. Let me just go back to home. You see that I have a database called NestWave. I've just created it. So you can even create a database with this. So let me create a database. I'll call it my what name can I give? Let me give it ABC. So I've created a database called ABC. So create. I'll click on create, and the database has been created. Then from there you'll need to make a table. If I say I want a table, let me give it table 1. Table name is table 1. I can even write a code to create a table here, and I make it table 1, but I'll do it the easier way. Table 1. How many columns do you want? By default there will be 4, but you can add more if you want. So I'll put the table attributes. I'll say ID. ID can be any integer. Length of values, any length you want. I'll give it 20, but most times we assign the ID as an auto increment. You can see this AI auto increment, so it becomes the primary key by default, because an auto increment means every time a new record is inserted into that table, it is auto incremented. Like if I put a record, it's 1, the next one is 2, 3, in that way. So it means every ID will be unique. So I'll say here name is a varchar. If you don't know these attributes or types, it can be an integer. An integer is any number from 0. You can see the description. 4-byte integer, signed range, negative I don't know, that's 2 trillion or million, but any number as long as it's not a decimal. But a text can be any. So the descriptions are provided here. Date, it can be a tiny int, small int, medium int, big int, decimal, float, double. A float is basically used for decimal numbers like 1.0, 1.11, 1000.02, a double, a real, a bit, a boolean. You know, a boolean is either 0 or 1. So you can be able to use 0 or 1 for data when we only have 2 options. It can be date, time, timestamp, yeah. A string is a set of characters, like maybe say my name Ernest 1 2. That's a string, it's not a text. So it depends on what you want, but for a name I'll just give it a text. Let me give it 200. Someone can have a name like 200 characters. Let me say date. This one I'll just choose date. This one you don't need to give any value, you can just give 1 because it's just a date. What can I give here? Address. So these are table attributes. Address, varchar. Yeah, you can even make this varchar because some names, you know, they might be sensitive. So I just put 200 and I save this. Here I'm creating a table. If I save, a new table will be created. So you can see that under my database called ABC I have one table. So this is a table, I can browse to see what things do I have in this table. I can write SQL code to insert. Here I'm just selecting, select ID, select ID name from table 1 where ID is equal to 1. I can insert any values, you can say. So when I click on this, basically it brings me a skeleton of this. So I'll just say insert into table 1, ID for this, name for this, date for this, address for this. So remember I told you the ID was auto incremented, so I won't need to insert anything on the ID. So I also delete one field here. You can see the syntax that these are opening quotes, but the value is here. So I'll put a name, let me say NestWave. See, I'll put a date, let me put 2020 08 12. You can see that I can put any address. Let me say New York. Yep. So I'll go ahead and click on go. So if I click on go, it will basically add records into that table. So you can see that insert into table 1, this query has been successfully executed. So I'll go back to browse to see elements in this table or data. You can see that I have NestWave already. I can even edit this field. Let me say NestWave, let me put 1 2 3. Then I'll just go to go and I save it. So when I go back to browse, you can see that now I've done this. So I can even copy this. Yeah, let me just make this some other thing. A B C D blah blah blah, that's the name. So I'll click on go. You can see that now I have 2 records after copying the first one. Yeah, I can even edit, I can copy, I can check all. Then when I check all, what do I do with what I've selected? I can delete, can copy, I can edit. Yep. So that's what happens for inserting and deleting. Can check the structure. If I want to edit this, I just go to change. If I want to rename this name to first name, I just put first name, first underscore name, then I save. It means I've changed the table attributes. You can see now this one has been successfully changed. So you can drop means deleting this whole table. You can set a primary key. If I select this and I want this to be the primary key, but it's already set, you can see this key right here, but I already set it because it is an auto increment attribute. Yeah, so you can do a lot of things with just this PhpMyadmin because it's easier to use, unlike other things like like SQL Workbench, SQLite, because PhpMyadmin most times is the most used among the web applications. So I can go ahead and write SQL. I can alter, I can delete, I can update. See that I can update table 1 where the ID, I can set the ID to be this, first name to be this. So if I want to change any of these records, I can just write a query and I specify where the ID, I say where ID is equal to 1. Yeah, and the query will be successfully executed. Yep. So if I try to leave this page, you say, do you want to save this? So I'm all just on one table. I can insert in this way. Instead of writing the query of insert, I can insert other records like this. I can import this table. Rather, I can export this table. You can see, you import it as a format SQL. You can import any other format like SQL, JSON data. Yep. So in the next video we shall come up with a practical example of this PhpMyadmin, and we shall be answering practical questions to help you. Privileges, you can edit privileges, because most times when we use PhpMyadmin, the only user is root. The user is root, and the password by default is null. You can do a lot of things. So I can go back to my database called ABC. You can see that I have one table. I can also select this table as well, and I copy it. I can do a lot of operations with it. Copy table, show table, rather show create. If I show create to bring me the SQL of this, so if I copy this and I go back, I select my database ABC, I can write SQL. I can go here and I just copy this SQL code. So I'll just basically create another table too, yeah, but within the same database. So right now I have two tables in the same database, but I've just copied. You can see table 1, table 2. I can empty this table, I can drop it. Dropping means I'm deleting the whole table plus its data. Yeah, so when I select this table again, I can analyze the table, I can check the table, check sum, optimize, I can make prefixes, I can make central columns, can even export. So so I can copy the table. So you can see that I'm copying the table direct. Where do you want to copy this table? If I want to copy this table to the same database, I told you the database is called ABC. But this time round, the database won't appear because it's already existing in that database. That's why you're not seeing that database name. Remember, the database is called ABC. You're not seeing it here within this listed. But you choose any other database you want to create. Okay, let me create another database. I come to new. I say ABC2. I go to create. You can see that ABC2 has been created. So I'll just select ABC again. I check these tables. So with selected, I go to copy tables. Where do you want to copy this database? You can see that ABC is already named. So I want to copy these two tables to ABC2. What do you want to copy? The structure only, or structure and data, or data only? But this time around, I want the structure and data. I also add the constraints. Constraints are simply those other specifications that describe the table attributes. I can even adjust privileges, so I just say continue. When I continue, when I go back to my ABC2, you can see that this ABC2 is having the same tables with this. Yep. So that's copying. You can write a query if you know how to use this, but most times I'm just handling these common things. I can export this whole database. When I export the whole database, it means it's going to export the tables that I have in that database. So let me do an export and import. So let me export this, and I say export. When I export, it will download an SQL file. You can see that it's called abc.sql, and it's 2086 bytes. They're always small files. Even if you have a very big database, sometimes it's just sums up to be at most 1 MB or just KBs. Yeah, so I've exported this database tables. So let me try to make an import. Let me create a new database, and I'll call it ABC3, and I'll create. But this time around, I have no tables. You can see that this ABC3 has no tables. So let me just go to import. When I import, I have to choose a file of the SQL. So I'll just go and look for that file, and I know it's under downloads. So it was called ABC. I select it. It gets uploaded. You can see that abc.sql. So the format is SQL already. It's not any other format. So I'll say import. When I import, the system just re-executes all those queries and data So I'll just go back to ABC3. You can see now I have these tables. Yeah. So let me just go back to my main database, ABC. I go to, that was export and the import, explained, privileges, more. Yeah, so those are most things you can do with a database. So let's see more things what you can do with a database. You can create a new table. That one is well explained. You can rename this database. It was ABC, so let me recall it ABC 1 2 3. Say go. So create database AB3, drop this. It means this is the query that will be executed if you were to make an SQL code the other way. So I'll say okay. You can see now this table, this database has been renamed and it's here. Operations, I can remove this database. I can decide to delete it. Let me delete. So it's popping up an warning, you're about to destroy a complete database. Do you really want to execute drop database? Database name is ABC 1 2 3. So okay, when I delete this database, everything about this database will get lost. So I'll go back to another database. I go to operations. You can copy this same database to any other database. You can change the collation, but most times this is the most used for like English. So those are the operations you can do with a database. So you can go back here. You can even delete multiple database. I go back to my server. I check databases. Say I select this and this. So this one. So this one. After selecting all of these ones, I can, with selected, I said drop. But this is a very crucial step to do because you can do it when without your notice and when not knowing. So I said drop. After dropping, all these databases have been successfully deleted. Can even write SQL for that as well. But I'm selecting the server already, so I'm under the server, so I write SQL. So I want to drop this database. I'll say drop database hospital. So I'll create this query and I click go. So you can see that here you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to your MariaDB for the right syntax near hospital. So this query, I've written it, but it's not okay. So I need to alter this query so that I can make sure I am executing this query. We shall see more in the next videos, how to handle exceptions and how to write queries and every other syntax you need to know. So I'll say drop database. Let me write it this way. Hospital. Let's see if it will get executed. See, now it's been executed because it knows the database is called hospital. So here you can see that I have no database named hospital anymore because I've deleted. Yeah. So that's how you can be able to handle simple things with this PhpMyadmin. So those are some of the most common things about PhpMyadmin. The good thing about PhpMyadmin is entirely free and it's general licensed, free to use by anyone. It has a wide community. You know, as a developer, sometimes when you're using some tools some other people don't use, sometimes it isn't good because that help, but there's a lot of people or like a community of PhpMyadmin. But those are most of the common things about PhpMyadmin. Please, if you like this video, leave me a thumbs up or subscribe, share this video for more tutorials like this one.